I'm Rachel with 7 in All, and today I'm bringing to you a video all about how to plan and prep for using the Letters and Numbers series from Gather Round, Letters and Numbers 1 and 2. And I'm going to be sharing a lot of additional resources you can use with it. I'll be sharing some book lists, so make sure you go ahead and open up that description while you're watching so that you can check out all the resources I'm sharing with you down below. In this video, I am only going to be talking about planning and prepping for Letters and Numbers 1 and 2. Letters and Numbers is a 4-book series, and I have flipped through videos for all 4 books of the series, so you can check those out on my channel. I'll try to link them below. But if you're not familiar with this series, the first 2 books are really kind of more meant to go together. And the second 2 books are meant to go together. Each set of 2 books goes through the entire alphabet. So with these 2 books, you'll get 26 weeks of preschool curriculum for 1 week for each letter of the alphabet. And books 1 and 2 are what you would want to use with a younger level preschooler. A preschooler who is not yet at that point where you really want to focus on building handwriting. So these are the pre-handwriting books, just having fun with letters and sounds, building familiarity, doing interactive pages with cutting and pasting and tracing. This is what you want to go for those early years. So stick around. I'm going to be showing with you what you can add on to it, how I realistically plan and use it in my day, and this is going to be a lot of fun. I am going to let you know right off the bat that I am not by nature a big homeschool planner. I am the kind of person who will pick out a good curriculum and I'll just run with it. I don't really do daily or weekly planning, but I do have some guiding principles that allow me to use my curriculum and use it well, use it to the fullest, without having to do that constant kind of planning. And I'm going to be sharing those principles with you in this video. Now, first of all, when planning and using the Letters and Numbers preschool curriculum, I don't do anything like write down that we're going to do lesson 22 on this date, or that we're going to finish the whole book by this particular week or month or day. Kind of by default, if you're doing preschool, there is no reason that you need to be finishing at an exact certain time, that you need to be completing a certain number of lessons within a certain time. It's much more important to me to just go at the flow of your own kind of natural pace of life and at the natural pace of your child. And I think when you plan out specifically ahead of time what you're going to do on what days, you'll end up doing a lot of erasing or crossing out in your planner, so it's kind of a waste of time, at least for me. So we have been moving through these pretty quickly. We've been on lockdown for a good chunk, some level of lockdown, for a good chunk of this last year. So because of that, there are some times when we do schoolwork 7 days a week, because you gotta have something to do. This is fun, this is good quality time. My son loves it, I enjoy doing it, so we'll do it pretty frequently, and we tend to move through it pretty quickly. What I do is reverse scheduling. I'll write down what we do on a certain day, just because I like writing things down. I don't think you even have to do that, but I like to kind of, it does help me keep in mind what books we've read recently and which ones we haven't read so long. So I have a video on how I do reverse scheduling, which I'll link above. It is from a while back, so the exact categories have somewhat changed. But the way that I do reverse scheduling is still exactly the same. Now, secondly, the big thing to think about when planning is that if you know you want to do Letters and Numbers 1 and 2 with your preschooler, and you're thinking about what you need to add on, I encourage you not to think in terms of what is everything that Letters and Numbers doesn't cover, and then I need to add all those things on. Rather, I encourage you to think of what developmentally and realistically preschoolers should be learning and should be focusing on, and also what are your personal loves and priorities for your own kids. So you really don't need to be adding everything on. There are a lot of subjects that preschoolers just don't really need to be covering right now. So I wouldn't think in terms of subjects, every kind of school subject that we traditionally have in mind, but just think in terms of kind of bigger values or priorities. And I'll talk about some of kind of my big values and priorities for preschool and what I add on for those in this video. Now, when I think about the big needs of preschoolers, one of the very first things I think of is stories, story time. These books all have a very short, let me get to a lesson page, a very short nonfiction science lesson reading. This is very easy for a young preschooler to sit through a short paragraph, engaging, interactive. It's about animals. These ones are about forest animals. These ones are either about farm animals or a fruit and vegetable or crop from the farm. So these are easy to learn about, but this is definitely not all the reading you should be doing. Kids need picture books. I don't think anyone argues that kids need fewer picture books in their lives. So we add on a lot of reading. Now, it's very easy and fun to add on books that fit the themes. So when you're doing the forest book for number 1, you can be adding in all the forest and woods themed books you can find. And something I recommend is to, yes, do books that kind of have that real life pictures and real life information about foxes or bears or beavers, skunks, whatever animals you're learning about specifically. But I would also kind of think in terms of what about those traditional Aesop's fables or fairy tales that involve some of these forest creatures. So, for example, for me, I'd read Goldilocks and the Three Bears or Ricitos de Oro y los Tres Osos for our story time when we're in this forest unit and learning about bears. Or Little Bear. These are so cute. I love these. Little Bear series. And we could do Baby Bear, what do you see? There's quite a few forest animals, the same ones covered in the book. There's a good amount of overlap in this classic book. I'm going to be leaving down in the description a book list of quite a few of the themed books that I found to go with this unit, but I really encourage you not to necessarily stop and just think that you need to do all themed books while you're reading these, because there are so many awesome picture books, and sometimes your child has a particular kind of favorite author or style. Just read lots and lots of books. Yes, read all the themed ones, and so that's why I'm going to give you that resource of some of our favorites. But don't feel like you totally need to stick to that. I would think some nonfiction stuff with the real pictures. I would do definitely more, also a lot of classic fiction and stories, because we just want our kids to be able to get lost in storybooks. Now, for On the Farm, I feel like it's even easier to find awesome farm-related stories. That is a really popular theme in children's books. So we could do The Three Little Pigs, Los Tres Cerditos, for our farm book. Oh, and yes, because we're a bilingual family, if I have a storybook available in Spanish, I always read it in Spanish. Because that's actually one of my big priorities, and one of the reasons I don't always stick to a theme is because I'd rather read a book in Spanish than just read a themed book all the time. And my Spanish book collection is a little bit more limited. We could do The Chick That Wouldn't Hatch if we're reading about chickens, and this also features other farm animals, farm vocabulary in it. This is an excellent classic book. I'll definitely be including this one in the book list below. Our Animal Friends at Maple Hill Farm. This is a big book. You've got all your farm animals in here. This is a treasury, but in it has the classic Blueberries for Sale. And we talk about blueberries in the On the Farm book. So besides just your animals, you can think about books that incorporate different fruits and different foods as well, with those different farm-raised foods that you're learning about. Now, as far as Bible, in Letters and Numbers, there's always this small little Bible connection box and typically for the week, they'll point you to a particular Bible story. And there's always the recommendation that you can read that story in these particular chapters in the Bible, or you can read it in a storybook Bible. And because my son is on the young side for preschool, I definitely choose a storybook Bible. For his age, I think it has the most chance of communicating truth to him at this point. He's going to understand a storybook Bible better. And I have 2 recommendations for storybook Bibles at this level. We have, of course, the Jesus Storybook Bible, which we do typically read in Spanish. And this is, of course, a beautiful option. Many people are fans of this. However, I've also found that this Bible doesn't necessarily have every different little small story in it. So, because the On the Farm and the Forest, letters and numbers 1 and 2, sometimes are pointing towards very specific Bible stories, this Bible, Family Time Bible and Pictures by Kenneth Taylor, has more of those individual specific stories. So this is my go-to Bible when this Bible doesn't have maybe as much of a specific story and is just kind of showing the big picture about a character. So I like this for the detailed stories. These are my 2 Bible recommendations. I think it's great to have both. It's good to have more than one Bible story. Sometimes it's nice to read the way different people retell the same story. Another big priority for the preschool age is building fine motor skills. And you can definitely do that through workbook pages. That's always a good chance to practice holding crayons, using scissors, gluing, and coordination and all that. The Letters and Numbers preschool program has awesome workbooks. They are very fun to use, very interactive. They have a lot of the cutting and pasting stuff, which I love. My son loves those. He gets very excited to use these. Each lesson comes with 3 worksheets, and for some kids this is absolutely going to be enough. So you don't necessarily think that you need to add any workbooks to this curriculum at this point. For some kids, 3 worksheets is going to be plenty of just matching, cutting, pasting, a little bit of coloring. These are really fun. 3 worksheets in a day. That's all you got to do. Very easy. There's not a whole lot to do on one page. They are not overwhelming. But if you have a kid who really likes the worksheet kind of thing, the little motor skills projects to do, you definitely can add on just a couple other workbooks if you'd like to. For this stage, this early preschool stage, some of my favorites are the age 2 and up Kumon little first steps workbooks is what they're called. I do have another video that I featured these in before. They have a Let's Cut Paper, Let's Sticker and Paste, Let's Fold, and a Let's Color series. And I've used all 4 of those different books. They're really well designed, just small little activities. I love these because scissor skills can be tricky. Plus, my son loves to use scissors. You give him a pair of scissors, he is so happy. And he has gotten very good at cutting on lines, following lines, being able to turn a paper, all of those little skills. And these are fun and inexpensive ways to do it. So I'll link some books from this series below so you can check those out. The other big workbook series I really like is the Montessori Method series, and I don't have the right ones specifically because we've actually already used them up as we were doing the In the Forest and On the Farm, but they have an animals workbook and they have a farm workbook. And animals I would use with the forest, and I would use the farm one with the farm book. But these are very, very well done. I think a lot of activity books are kind of like, well, it's cute, but it's not, I don't know, it seems kind of dumb. Maybe I shouldn't say that. But these I think are really smart, very well designed. I'm intrigued by the little activities. They are sticker books too. So if you have kids that love stickers, these are highly recommended. I have another book where I recommend these. I will link to the forest and the farm books down below. And another good one, just for kind of practicing that tracing, coloring stuff, is from The Good and the Beautiful. This is the Doodles and Pre-Writing for Littles. It's kind of like their preschool pre-handwriting little book. He's I don't know, 3/4 done with this or so, and it's very easy, has a lot of fun. And if you get the digital copy and your kid just is obsessed with tracing lines and stuff, then you can just print it out again after they've completed it. So that's a good option for that one. So those are kind of my workbook recommendations if you have a kid who loves workbooks. If you have a preschooler who doesn't really like to sit still for workbooks, then I wouldn't add anything else on. Music is another big thing I think about when it comes to needs of preschoolers. And we definitely incorporate music into our preschool routine, but I don't necessarily, actually I don't at all, try to tie it into our themes. I actually use our music for our memory work specifically. So my favorite music, and so you should plan out what music you're going to use, because you don't necessarily want to go in a day feeling like, I have no idea what music to play. So have your kind of go-to musics that fit you and your goals and your family. So for me, the music we listen to every day, we listen to Songs for Saplings in Spanish. They have a Spanish album for their first catechism album. Those are all catechism songs, kind of the questions and answers in a very simple format for little kids. They are really fun and catchy. I find myself singing these songs in Spanish while I'm doing the dishes. So we listen to those on a very regular basis. We also do Super Simple Spanish, which has just a lot of songs with very basic kind of kid vocabulary. They have colors, they have simple commands, they have opposites. My son really loves the Super Simple Spanish songs. He can sing quite a few of them now. And I have a We Sing nursery rhyme CD in the car that we listen to, because that's the only place we have a CD player anymore, is in our car. Do you guys have CD players? Now, when you think about the real priority for preschool, it's actually not so much learning all the details about cows and their lifestyle, or all the details about foxes and bears and all that stuff. A lot of kids love animals, and so it's kind of tempting to make all of our extras about animals while we're diving into these unit studies. But do remember that kind of the whole point of this right now is to be building familiarity with letters and their sounds, building familiarity with numbers. So if you get manipulatives, fun manipulatives, I recommend just doing a lot with letters and numbers. We have a whole set of lacing letters, which you can tell my son has been playing with, because they are in quite the tangled web at this moment. This is his favorite thing to do with them. But get letters that you can play with. He spends a lot of time winding all of these together, occasionally taking them apart, but mostly just putting them all together. We have magnetic letters, of course. These are a classic, so much fun. I also really like many of the wooden alphabet manipulatives I've seen. Those are fun to play with. We just, for Christmas, got a set of wooden numbers, so I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with doing games, matching games, and so on with those. So I'll link to some of the manipulatives we've really liked and used. In the teacher's guide, there's a review at the end of each week, and there's always some kind of game, and the games are always focused on just an active kinesthetic way to practice letter sounds or letter shapes or number shapes, counting. So all of those games are focused on letters and numbers. So I recommend don't skip this part. This makes your job easier. You don't have to plan everything. You can just read it in a book and follow the instructions. But it's really easy to come up with just simple little activities. Throw all the letters on the floor and ask your kid to bring you a letter. Throw all the numbers on the floor and race to different numbers. There's so many fun and active ways you can just play. So you just have to invest in a couple of letter and number things to play with. Now, if you do want manipulatives that have something to do with animals and some educational stuff, these I actually cut out and laminated from that Montessori method workbook I showed you. I told you that was a cool workbook. I really liked it. They had all these little cutouts that I went ahead and laminated, and they also had the names of them all spelled in capital letters, so we can do matching to their names. We can throw these on the floor and I can call out their name and have my son bring them to me. We can do kind of play acting, have them talk to each other. That's, of course, a lot of fun. You can get animal puzzles. This is my preferred kind of puzzle for little kids, rather than the like wooden background or cardboard background and then you have to fit everything inside it. Those are always really annoying to me to store for some reason. Maybe I'm just anti-puzzles. Maybe this is something I need to work on. But my son does really good with this kind of just little simple matching puzzle. I think this has 30 little pairs of animal families in here. He loves to do this. We can work on vocabulary. It has a lot of the same animals we learn about. Here's a classic matching memory game. We play actually different things with this. We build vocabulary, and this is all bear themed, so it goes with when you're learning about bears. That's fun. And of course, as you're doing preschool, a big thing preschoolers need, they need real life experiences. And depending on where you live, it may be more or less difficult to take your child to a forest, take them to a farm, get them outdoors. All kids benefit from spending time outdoors. One more thing that a lot of people will add on is as they read about each animal, each new animal in a day, they will also take the time to look up a video on it. Now, I will say I don't actually do this, and this is partially just my own persnicketyness. I'm just not the kind of person that will take the time to look up a video of something specifically all the time. But I do think it has some benefits and some fun to actually see that animal living, breathing, moving in its own natural surroundings on video. It is a cool resource. I would be a little bit wary with it with a young kid because I think sometimes unintentionally in our choosing of video resources to show kids in our kind of excitement of, okay, you were patient through the reading, now we're going to watch a video, and this is the real fun way to learn. Sometimes I think we're setting them up to start thinking that, okay, I gotta do my book work, but then the real fun learning comes in with the screen. Whereas I tend to more keep our school time screen free because actually kids can learn well from just books if they're in the habit of it, if they're allowed to develop this habit. So that I realize I'm kind of a weirdo about this, and this is just a me thing, but it is something I encourage you to think about. How do you want to introduce screens to your kid for learning, and that you do want to give them a chance to say, hey, you know, actually you can learn from books, and books are interesting. Books are not the boring thing in life. They're actually really cool. So that is kind of just my personal thoughts on it, and I know that's not everyone's approach at all. But there are some very fun movies to bring in, and where I would more bring in video is maybe doing a family movie night. So we haven't done it yet, but probably while we're still finishing up on the farm, I think we're gonna do a family movie night and watch Babe, which my son has already seen, and he really loves that movie, and I do too. So I think it's a good excuse to watch it again, Babe, or maybe the Charlotte's Web movie as well. I think that would be fun. I have definitely said fun too much, but that just describes my feelings about preschool in general. It's something I genuinely... Now, of course, you can also do some extras. You can do animal crafts. For me, I don't really do that, and I'm kind of following what I am like and what my son is like as well. He is a young preschooler, so I don't feel we're really in the stage of doing structured crafts. Like, we're gonna do a craft and it's gonna turn out looking like a cow. When we do a craft at this stage, it's more just open-ended. Hey, let's cut up paper. Hey, let's paint something. It doesn't really specifically have to turn out like this. I try to do more just this 2 to 3 year old level of craft rather than a craft that actually turns into something. You can also do sensory bins. Of course, toddlers and preschoolers are gonna love those. I actually really do not get over the top with my sensory bins. I basically dump lentils or sand in a table and let him play with it with some toys, and it doesn't have to be on theme for me because it's not like he's gonna be, oh, it's on theme, now it's so much more fun. He just likes it. So I am pretty laid back even while embracing this unit study approach. I hope that you got some inspiration and some helpful resources from this video and the description down below. I've tried to pack it full of value for you, and I will see you next time. If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up, and you can subscribe to this channel for more from 7 and All. Bye!